Jesse Waters, Primetime tonight.
We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't. We're not relying on Denmark or anybody else. We're talking about world peace.
Manifest Destiny is back.
It's cold as here. Nobody told me.
While you're twiddling your thumbs and playing nice and trying to be bipartisan, they are killing your country and taking away democracy.
Soul searching and the Democrat Party.
I got an 18-year-old. He gives me the old, says the guy who got his kicked by Donald Trump. And I'm like, okay.
All I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. I just need y'all to make sure that y'all keep screaming in the streets.
Tesla terrorists get ready for their big birthday bash. Plus,
sit back and enjoy.
In the cold silence of the tundra, a bond was born, not from treaties or trade, but from blood and bravery. While Germany controlled Europe, the Nazis set their sights on the Arctic. Greenland became an unwitting combatant, and the United States stepped in, not to conquer, but to protect. In 1943, nearly 1,000 American soldiers with 4 chaplains set sail from New York to Greenland, carrying with them hope, duty, and a quiet fear. But their ship was torpedoed by a Nazi U-boat, and the frigid waters of the North Atlantic became a grave. Those four chaplains gave up their life vests, giving their lives so that others might live. Together, Americans and Greenlanders stood as sentinels at the top of the world. But today, Greenland faces new threats. From Russian aggression and Chinese expansion, our shared legacy lives on in every joint mission, every Arctic patrol, every partnership forged in the shadow of melting ice and rising tensions. This is not just history, it is destiny.
Liberation Day might be next week for most of us, but for Greenland, it's only a matter of time.
We need Greenland, very importantly, for international security. We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't. If you look at Greenland right now, if you look at the waterways, you have Chinese and Russian ships all over the place. And we're not going to be able to do that. We're not relying on Denmark or anybody else to take care of that situation. And we're not talking about peace for the United States. We're talking about world peace. We're talking about international security.
When you find a piece of real estate you like in this market, you don't wait. So Trump sent JD uptown to do a little shopping, but he forgot his jacket.
Hey guys, how we doing? Please, at ease. At ease. Good Lord, sit down and eat. Sit down and eat. Don't let the vice president stop you guys from getting your chow here. How we doing? It's cold as here. Nobody told me.
Greenland might not be the best place for a Trump golf course, but Silicon Valley and billionaires like Musk, Bezos, and Peter Thiel think Greenland's landscape will put us ahead in the AI arms race because we can park our data centers up there and keep them cool. It's not that far away from New York City, has minerals galore, and it keeps the Russians and Chinese from dominating the Arctic, the new superpower ice rink. But this isn't about being selfish. This is also about love.
Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change. We hope that they choose to partner with the United States because we're the only nation on earth that will respect their sovereignty and respect their security, because their security is very much our security, as these brave Americans show.
This only ends one way. A big, beautiful flag planted right on the ice. Vance says military force won't be necessary, but just in case, Mike Waltz tagged along and Pistol Pete's staying fit. Here he is training this morning with our boys in the Philippines. Everyone's getting in fighting shape. And Kennedy's getting governors to appear on The Biggest Loser.
I said, you look like you ate Governor Morrissey. And there was a lot of talk about getting healthy again, and I'm very happy that he's invited me to be his personal trainer. I'm going to put him on a really rigorous regimen. And we're going to put him on a carnivore diet. We're going to make him raise your hand if you want Governor Morrissey to do a public weigh-in once a month. And then when he's lost 30 pounds, I'm going to come back to the state and do a celebration and a public weigh-in with him.
He's talking about the governor of West Virginia. By the way, if Mr. Morrissey doesn't think Bobby's serious, he doesn't know Bobby. Big Food's getting to know him, and let's just say he's not their favorite.
The food companies all came and met with me 2 weeks ago, and they're scared of me. What they said, and the reason they said, well, tell us what you want, and we're going to do it.
The Wall Street Journal spoke to 30 big food companies, and they think Bobby making America healthy again is a threat. The healthier Americans get, the less profit they make. The Trump administration isn't getting pushed around by big business. We want companies to make money, but not at our expense. And the same goes for other countries. We respect our allies, but they'll be made to respect us.
For 40 years, a lot of our friends all over the world have used America as a piggy bank. They have used us to absorb all of their excess economic production. What has that meant for Americans? For Americans, that's meant manufacturing jobs declining. That's meant middle-class wages going down. That's meant whole towns that have been hollowed out by empty factories. And that means an America that is less safe because our manufacturing isn't as powerful now as it was 30 years ago. The days of America being the piggy bank of the world, the days of closed factories, the days of people not being able to get a middle-class job in this country, they're over.
America didn't start the trade war. The world did. And we haven't even been fighting it until now. China knows it, Europe knows it, and so does Canada. And we love the Canadians, but they're fighting a war they can't win.
The Canadian leadership threatening retaliatory tariffs against the United States, as President Trump often says, they just don't have the cards. There is no way that Canada can win a trade war with the United States.
Moving from globalization to America first, where we make things in America, is the right move, even though it can look a little rocky. So hold tight. We're going to get a bang for our buck when we start buying American.
We're going to do something that has never been done in this country before. I'm very proud to say it was my idea. And so sometimes a simple idea, they say, how'd you think of that one? It's so simple, it was never done. If you buy a car in the United States that's made in the United States, if it's manufactured here, when you borrow money, if you borrow money, you have interest payments. We're going to let you deduct the interest payment for income tax reasons. And I think that's going to more than pay for itself.
Tariffs aren't a tax if you buy American. That's common sense. It's about time someone in the White House had it.
What is a woman, and why is it important that we understand the difference between men and women?
Well, it's sort of easy to answer for me because a woman is somebody that can have a baby under certain circumstances. She has a quality. A woman is a person who's much smarter than a man, I've always found.
Except for Hillary. She's back, and she's calling Trump world dumb. It's not the hypocrisy that bothers me, it's the stupidity. The Trump approach is dumb power instead of a strong America, using all our strengths to lead the world and confront our adversaries. Mr. Trump's America will be increasingly blind and blundering, feeble and friendless. Dumb power is fighting unwinnable wars, defunding the police and opening the border. Feeble's falling down and falling asleep. And being friendly to the world is what got us in this mess. We're not in high school. We don't need friends. Every country puts their interest first. And when our interests align, we can do business. And when they don't, that's life. If we have to burn down a few bridges with Denmark to take Greenland, we're big boys. We dropped A-bombs on Japan, and now they're our top ally in the Pacific. We may have to burn a bridge to build a big, beautiful new one to the next generation. America's not handcuffed by history. Trump knows what we need to do to make this century America's century. And he's tapping young talent like J.D., Hegseth, and Levitt to keep Manifest Destiny alive.
Many people told him that I was too young to have this position, and he told me, you're not. When I was 21, I was building buildings in Manhattan, and I believe you can have this job. So The president believes in the young people of this country, the future generations, the next generation of leaders, and he wants to leave the country better off for us and for our children and our grandchildren.
Taking Greenland. It's for the grandchildren. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Loina joins me now. You are so young, Congresswoman, that I'm going to ask you how old you are. How old are you?
I'm 35.
All right. So you're incredibly young. You're 35. And you see this new generation coming up. Do you understand how important this is? The president does.
Yeah, most certainly. In fact, Jesse, it's interesting that you're bringing that up. I'm currently working on something that would allow new parents and specifically female members of Congress to vote by proxy when they're recovering from childbirth. So look, we need a younger Congress. We are currently seeing right now that the American people want to have young representation. We have to carry the torch. And it means bringing some of these institutional changes that I believe will be better for the American people in the long run.
And if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's why Greenland is necessary. Do you have colleagues in the House that are against taking Greenland?
No, I don't think so. Well, actually, I take that back. I think that there's been some murmurs of people that think that it might just be messaging. But I would actually argue from a strategic standpoint, Jesse, that would actually be a great location for us. Not to mention, from what I gather, the people of Greenland are very much supportive of becoming potentially a U.S. territory. And so I'm supportive of it. Why would we not want to expand our message and really have people that are for the America First and pro-American ideology?
When we talk tariffs and trade and the president talks about buying American, why is that important? People don't usually get it.
Well, as of right now, specifically in the 70s, when big corporations started sending industry overseas, what ultimately ended up happening is it actually hurt us back home. A lot of jobs ended up going down. We obviously lost our steel industry. And so when the president talks about reciprocal tariffs, it's important for people to realize that's actually a very good negotiating tool as well. What ends up happening is those countries no longer want to, for example, like China, put 100% tariff on product if we are charging them then the same. And so it actually will help in the long run to not just bring costs down for the American people, but also manufacturing back to the United States. I've actually been a huge advocate for the president's perspective on this idea.
Good. And we're hearing a rumor there might be a hearing about the JFK situation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we actually have our hearing coming up on April 1st. That is not April Fool's Day. That's when the hearing is going to be. And we actually just confirmed today that the director, Oliver Stone, will be testifying at that hearing, as well as Jeff Morley and a few other people. You know, there's been some incredible breakthrough on these declassified documents, and kudos to President Trump for following through on his campaign promise to fully declassify. But look, Jesse, we need to ensure that the American people deserve the truth, get down to the facts of what actually happened. And I do believe that the Warren Commission never did give the American people the facts. And so we have those. We're excited to present them to the American people, and there's more to come on that.
Yeah, Jeff Morley, who was on my show, who's going to be testifying to your committee next week, he said because of these new releases, it's conclusive that the CIA was running Oswald, running him. And he also said that he doesn't think all of the documents have been released. Is that your understanding, too?
Yeah, so we're actually in the process of tracking down two specific documents. And also, too, Jesse, I would like to actually tell the American people, it was made aware to me this evening that NBC actually has a video that's never been seen before. We're actually going to be sending a letter requesting that from NBC because it allegedly shows Oswald near the vehicle when the assassination took place, which means that he couldn't have been the shooter. So, again, we're tracking down all this information. But look, there's even a CIA document that came out that Mr. Morley pointed out that actually said that the CIA never bought the lone gunman theory. And so I think the American people had an inclination as to what we were saying, but we never had the hard evidence until now. And so it's important to note that in a free and fair society, how could you operate or have an agency operating in the shadows? And so kudos to President Trump, also Director Radcliffe and Tulsi Gabbard for pushing for this transparency. It is going to be generational changing that they've done this. And we hope to bring forward legislation to ensure that this never happens again for future generations to come.
You're saying NBC has been keeping this tape of Oswald under wraps?
Correct. In fact, Director Stone actually told us that he was showed this tape, that it was a secondary copy, and that he said that this could blow open the entire JFK investigation. What I will also tell you, though, Jesse, is he said that NBC's been very, very much so guarding this tape. And so I believe that that tape belongs to the American people. We are going to be sending a letter asking for that tape. And I would encourage everyone to ask NBC to release that tape to the public. It's important, not just for our investigations, but so the American people know the truth as to what happened with John F. Kennedy.
All right. Well, I think they will release it because I believe the president will probably put it on Truth Social pretty soon. All right, Congresswoman Anna Paulina
well, hopefully
Luna.
Fox promotes it. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Now, remember when Biden called half the country trash? Tampon might have just topped that. There's a sinking ship on the Potomac, and Democrats are fighting over who gets the life vests. You or the purple-haired atheist. And your fate has been decided. All the party bigwigs met at a DNC leadership forum last month. Party insiders described it like this, quote, "It was a bunch of people politely discussing how many deck chairs on the Titanic should be reserved for transgender people." Democrats are taking on water, and they know not where the lifeboats are. One strategist says, "I don't know if we realize how effed we are right now as a brand." The Times says, screw it. Forget steering to shore. There's an iceberg on the left. Go for it. Quote, "There is evidence that the process of moderation has the potential to result in unintended adverse consequences. There appears to be very little electoral advantage from running to the center. But changing the Titanic's captain means nothing if the captain's tampon. He's on the road again. No, not at Tiananmen Square. He saves that trip for the anniversary in June. He's in Texas with a list of demands. More DEI Thursdays and less Tom Homan.
Our culture proves that our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies.
If diversity is his strength, that's a pretty weak audience. But Tampon didn't travel alone. He's got a new wingman, a man who's lost his last 3 elections, Beto.
While you're twiddling your thumbs and playing nice and trying to be bipartisan, they are killing your country and taking away democracy. So we are either going to fight or we are going to surrender, and I plan on fighting.
Beto's going to fight, plans on fighting. Why isn't he fighting now? And what does fight even mean? And what kind of name is Beto? Then Timmy had an epiphany. Old white men have got to go.
And to all the young people who are here, I just pause for a moment and look around and look at, I'm especially talking about these old white guys who seem to disappoint us on a regular basis in this country.
Tampon's an old white guy who disappoints. Why doesn't he step aside? Why doesn't that whole audience step aside? And old black guys disappoint too. Remember Barack? Gus gets it.
Got an 18-year-old Gus, and I'm without Gus out there, and I'm having one of those dad talks with him. I was giving Gus my wisdom on what he had done wrong. You know, I was being, because I know these things, right? I'm the dad. In the middle of it, he gives me the old, says the guy who got his ass kicked by Donald Trump. And I'm like, okay.
And while Walz may not be VP, he's adopted some new pronouns. ED, election denier.
They've released analyses of election data out of Clark County, Nevada, that show some pretty convincing evidence of election tampering. What can we do to make sure, A, that the midterms actually happen, and B, that they're free of fraud?
We see one of the first things they do is try and restrict the vote. This is one of the things, though, that this is going to take power to the streets. And I don't know what the answer is on this, but I've been saying this. I think we need a shadow government.
Tampon just said the election was rigged, storm the streets, and form a shadow government. And the media doesn't even care because it's just Tampon being Tampon. Well, Timmy Walls says MAGA Republicans should crawl under a rock. Bill Maher is flying to D.C. to have dinner at the White House.
It was presented as a dare. not a dare. No, just like, maybe this is a beginning to heal America. I mean, it's kind of a Nixon to China thing. I'm impressed by it a lot. I'm impressed the out of it. I get to go to the White House, and yes, that is the structure of this dinner, is just let's talk. Let's talk to each other face to face. Let's not stop shouting from 3,000 miles away.
Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is here. How you doing, Governor?
Great. How you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing great. Not as good as Tampon. He is having a ball out there with the folks in Beto. He says the country just really loved DEI, wokeism, and open borders. He just didn't sell it well.
Well, that soundbite that you showed with Governor Walz illustrates exactly what's wrong with the Democratic Party and why they lost. It's really interesting because in that little soundbite, what's he talking about? He's talking about ageism, racism, and sexism. If you're old, get out. If you're white, get a seat on the back of the bus. And if you're a man, you need not apply. And that's precisely what happened to the Democratic Party. They have decided that they're going to pick and choose who should have a chance at chasing their dreams. And apparently, if you're white and you're old, you're out. And the American people have seen through this. And really, what you're seeing after just a couple of months of President Trump being president is the Democratic Party showing what they're all about. It's politics 24/7, every day, for every month of every year. They never bother to take a moment to try to find common ground, promote the common good and the general welfare, and actually solve the problems for the American people. They had 4 years to fix America and make it better. They made it worse. And they got their butts kicked in this last election. And there you got Governor Walz talking about old white men when he's one himself. And he's actually, frankly, looks older than he actually is. He's, I think, in his early 60s, but he kind of resembles Biden, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's 60, and that's how old Gutfeld is. And he looks 10 years, 20 years older than Gutfeld. But he said something interesting about old white men. We can't have old white men. Well, they just ran a young black woman, and she just got creamed by an old white man, lost every battleground. So it has nothing to do with why she lost because she was a young black woman. It's because she had nothing to say and nothing to run on. What does it mean, Governor, when Beto says, we're going to fight. We have a plan to fight. Soon we're going to start fighting. Why don't they fight now, and what does fight even mean?
Well, you have a tale of two Democrats, really. You have Bill Maher talking about going to the White House to have a discussion with the newly elected president of the United States, and he's putting America first above his party. And then you got Beto O'Rourke and Walz and pretty much every other Democrat, leading Democrat. They continue to put Democratic Party first over America. And this is among the reasons why they lost and why Trump won and why Trump's going to continue to do great as our president, because he's about solving problems. I spent 6 years in the United States Congress under Nancy Pelosi. And what that was about, every single morning we'd have to get together these Democratic caucuses. And it was never about solving the problems of the American people. It was always about stopping the other side from doing something that might actually be good, because if they get that done, they're likely to win the next election. So they're really not about governing. They're all about politics, and the American people are smart. They saw through it, and they threw them out.
So when you were there under Nancy, like, what was the strategy meeting? She just says, don't do anything that they want to do, block everything, and we're going to run against it in the midterms?
Yeah, basically, yes. And what you'd also have is pretty much a lot of the members of the caucus would take their turns getting up and giving speeches like you just saw Walz give. I used to hear those every single day, and after a while I stopped going to them. I figured I'd get my run in the morning before I went to Congress to vote, because it was sickening. It was not ever about solving problems or making America get better or trying to find a way where we can make a deal with the other party, and maybe we don't get everything we want, but we get a lot more than we would have otherwise gotten, and we would have helped a lot of people back home. But they're not interested in that. They just want to do politics 24/7 every day.
Did Nancy give out any stock picks during these meetings?
No, you know, I didn't know that. I wish I had. I'd be rich today instead of poor.
All right. Well, maybe next time. Thank you so much, Governor. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
A powerful moment from Elon Musk.
What's the biggest thing for you that keeps you up at night?
Tomorrow's Jasmine Crockett's birthday, and Democrats are planning the bash of a lifetime. Let's hope the only thing they light is a couple of candles. The left's big Tesla takedown Saturday, and they're looking to mob 500 Tesla showrooms around the world. For weeks, we've seen a surge in terror attacks and Tesla vandalism all across the country. In Berkeley, California, a hiker hobbled her way up to a Cybertruck in a gated parking lot and keyed the doors. One Texas man caught this vandal after his car was keyed at the airport and is now taking him to court. And just yesterday, two goons in New York carved a swastika and the word Nazi onto the door of a Cybertruck. These dummies keep getting identified by the Cybertruck cameras. You'd think they'd realize after 3 weeks. And it doesn't take much to turn them loose.
He calls Social Security a Ponzi scheme. He's trying to create some room in the budget to give a big, giant tax cut to billionaires.
The problem with this is that they spent the last couple of months being reckless. Going around with the chainsaw, firing FAA staff.
You get the richest guy in the world cutting off food for the people starving children around the world. Like that's the essence of what it is.
Musk's just doing the job politicians promised to do but never did, like fight fraud and balance the budget. Musk's just doing what politicians didn't have the stones to do. And he's taking a lot of heat. The guy who lit up a Vegas dealership, a violent commie, the feds just slapped him with new charges late last night. This is exactly why successful Americans don't want to get involved in politics, which is why we get these lazy weasels instead.
My companies are suffering because I'm in the government. You just pointed that out a moment ago.
Right.
Do you think it helps sales if dealerships are being firebombed? Of course not. And Tesla customers are being intimidated all over the country and all over Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help Tesla? I mean, you had Tim Waltz, who's a huge jerk, running around on stage with a Tesla stock price where the stock price had gone in half, and he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do.
But the Doge boys aren't intimidated. They're on a mission to save the country.
I was running 5 businesses in Houston, and I left that. I left great people to do this, and my wonderful wife said, go for it. And here I am. But I feel like this is me giving back to the country.
There's a lot of money sloshing around. There's a lot of money sloshing out the door. And if you look at the federal government and the way the workforce works, it's really a one-way ratchet over decades. So
it's only going up.
It's only going up.
This is the first time the federal government has ever even really had a real audit. RFK just axed over $300 million in gender and DEI grants, including some gems. $5 million for harnessing the power of text messaging to reduce HIV incidence in adolescent males. $3.5 million to study sex hormone effects on transgender adolescents going through puberty. And nearly $1 million to study Buddhism and HIV stigmas in Thailand. And the cuts keep coming. Federal officials are preparing for agencies to cut between 8 and 50% of their employees as part of a Trump administration push to shrink the federal government. The federal government isn't a charity, and it's a cushy no-show job so Democrats can harvest their union dues. Having such a bloated system is why Americans can't get anything done.
Liberals passed $7.5 billion for a nationwide network of electric vehicle chargers. We also get $42 billion, and this is a big thing they tout a lot, to do rural broadband. 56 states and jurisdictions try to apply for this money. And again, this passes at the end of 2021. They have time. By the end of 2024, 3 have got into the end of the process. They were trying.
Three of these 56.
Yes.
End of the process, meaning they've actioned it, they've built it, or they've got
Oh, no, of course not. I didn't mean they've built it, Sean. Sorry, I was so good. I confused you.
Build Back Better, remember that? Did anything ever get built? No, because it was impossible to get a permit on purpose. Biden earmarked billions for projects, and what do we have to show for it? Bupkis. I don't even know what bupkis means. Once we doge the red tape and cut out the fat, the goods and services we get from the federal government might actually make us feel, dare I say, good.
We really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience. Beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
Host of the Rubin Report, Dave Rubin, is here. So tomorrow night, this weekend, big Tesla takedown all over the world. Molotov cocktails, swastikas. What do you think is going to happen?
Good time. Well, first off, as long as we're talking budget cuts, I do have to complain because the Jesse Waters program people, I asked the makeup people for the Jasmine Crockett eyebrows, and they said it's not in the budget. So
No.
So first off, they can tan you up, make the hair look great, but they don't have enough for the eyelashes. Look, this whole thing is absurd. The people that are putting up the swastikas are calling the other people the Nazis. In the old days, it was the Nazis that were putting up the swastikas. Also, frankly, I know I'm a bit of a radical, but the guy who's sending the rockets that are saving the astronauts who are caught in the space station, who's catching rockets with big electronic arms, who's building robots that are going to help old people do things they can't do anymore, who's got a thing called Neuralink that's helping quadriplegics play chess. I don't think he's the bad guy in this situation. People wearing kefias literally forcing themselves to puke on someone else's Tesla that are having the issue at the moment.
It is humbling watching Elon when I'm trying to put a Lego set together with Jesse Jr. and I get stuck. I have to look at the directions. Right. It's a humbling experience.
So you're saying he's doing a better job at fixing the government than you would?
Much better.
It's that type of humble thinking we haven't had in the government.
That's right. That's why I'm on television.
Yeah, exactly.
He was just asked what the most important thing that keeps him up at night is. Listen to this.
Finally, what's the biggest thing for you that keeps you up at night?
Well, there's a lot of things, I suppose, that I worry about, but and some of these things will seem esoteric to people. The birth rate is very low in almost every country. And it's something, unless that changes, civilization will disappear. America had the lowest birth rate, I believe, ever. That was last year. Places like Korea, the birth rate is 1/3 replacement rate. So that means in 3 generations, Korea will be 3 or 4% of its current size. And nothing seems to be turning that around. Humanity is dying.
We're going to go extinct like the dinosaurs if we don't start making babies.
And this guy's putting...
Not me and you. Not me and you. I'm saying we,
Jesse.
the royal we.
I'm married. I'm sorry.
Me too.
Look, that's someone who loves humans. He loves people. And when I was watching that, I was just thinking, that's the same thing Trump loves. Trump loves people. You know, you can see it when he's with people. He loves, whether it's the guy at McDonald's flipping the fries or he's out with a trucker or whatever it might be. And the way Elon's talking about all these things, this ridiculous notion that the world's richest man is doing all of this for tax cuts. Look at the way the guy dresses. He doesn't dress very fancy. I'm going to guess he doesn't have a yacht. I guarantee you Bill Gates and George Soros, et cetera, have multiple yachts. Like, this is a humble guy who genuinely is trying to fix things.
He's not trying to steal
blowing
from the
up
government.
his cars.
Right. All right. You're going to be covering the Tesla takedown protest over the weekend.
No.
Rubin's going to be undercover.
Yes.
All right. So just if you're going to torch a Tesla, he could be filming.
I'm going to dress up like one of these crazy Antifa, kefi-wearing Hamas. I'm not going to wear deodorant. I'm not going to brush my teeth.
He's
for a
going
couple
deep
days.
undercover.
Yeah, I'm
so
be
be careful,
Democrat.
people. Thank you very much. Behave yourself
Good
this
seeing
week.
you, brother.
Fox News alert: Lionel Moreno, a.k.a. the freeloading Venezuelan welfare king, has been deported. We told you about Moreno last year when he was trying to become a migrant influencer, mocking Americans while living large off the government dole.
Les duele.
You're hurt because I make more than you without much work, while you work like slaves. Understand? That's the difference between you and me. I'm always going to make lots of money without much work, and you're always going to be exploited and miserable and insignificant.
Hope you enjoyed the Biden bucks while they lasted. That's not all, though. Lionel apparently caused a scene on the flight back to Venezuela, and officials had to move him to his own section of the plane with extra security. I assume there was no in-flight movie either. ACLU is probably suing. Too bad. Adios, amigo. It's time for Sink or Swim. Tonight we have Charlie Arnault taking on Adam Klotz. And winner gets a special new prize. Sponsored by the Fox News Shop. No more hats. We're moving on to...
Forever.
Forever. Unless it's a Fox hat.
No. So if I got rid of the old hats, then I basically got rid of like relics.
They're going up in value.
Those
right
are
now.
collector's
They're going up
editions.
in value.
I wish someone would have told me. Anyways, whatever. It's fine.
You got
Fine.
rid of my hats?
I didn't say I got rid of them. I said if I technically did get rid of them.
I feel hurt.
Mine's going on eBay later tonight.
I live in a New York City apartment. How much stuff can I really retain?
All right. Over the hill. Not talking about me. Which Fox News host turned 50 today? Something that I will not acknowledge because of my rules for men. You never wish another man a happy birthday. Is it Will Cain or Harold Ford Jr.?
I know the answer.
I don't know the answer, so I'm just going here.
HBD, buddy.
None that Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld wouldn't say it. It's not manly.
Oh my gosh.
Take it up with them.
All right, you're
Well,
right.
happy birthday, Will.
And you didn't wish him happy birthday, right?
Yeah, I texted him just a little bit ago.
Oh, that's so. I'm not going to say the word, but you can't say that to another man. You texted
can't
a
tell him
man
happy
another
birthday?
On a Friday night.
Another guy? Yeah. Stop it, Klaus.
He's secure with
We're
his
going to take away a
masculinity.
point. It's 0-0. Back in Butler, Trump told America to fight, fight, fight. Which one of his children are now doing jujitsu? Is it Ivanka or Barron?
I feel like he switched.
Did he switch?
I think so.
I didn't see what you did.
I don't think he cheated.
I really didn't. I promise.
All right, you guys are both getting that right.
I did not.
Still a tie score, though. We're really taking a point away from
You're not taking a point away. He didn't text me back if that makes you feel better.
Oh, that's even worse.
That is bad.
Democrats have been getting a little prickly recently. Which Democrat stormed off the set in the middle of an interview after getting a question they didn't like? Was it Jasmine Crockett or Bernie Sanders?
Stormed off in the middle of an interview.
Would you like to see her joining the Senate?
Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
No, I asked you.
Okay.
You want to do nonsense, do nonsense.
That was Bernie.
Jasmine Crockett's had a rough week too, though.
Yes,
Very rough.
she definitely has. Hot Wheels did not go over well in Texas. All right, this is the last one, right? The actor hates Trump, but he even thinks late night hosts need to stop trashing Trump night after night after night. Was it Alec Baldwin who said it or George Clooney?
Attacking Trump, mocking Trump, all these things that are done on these comedy shows in particular is a mistake.
Go into the tiebreaker, everybody. Here we go. Think carefully. America wants Greenland for obvious reasons, but it's not the first time America's tried to buy the island off the Danes. How much did we offer Denmark for Greenland way back in 1946?
Just any number?
Yeah, you
go
for it.
first.
We offered in 1946 $500 million.
Oh, I was going to say $200,000.
I don't know who's closer, but it was $100 million.
I'm closer, actually. He said 500 million.
I think is Charlie closer?
Yeah, I'm closer.
You're closer. And you know what?
And you're under. That's
You
Price
got
is Right
robbed.
rules.
Klotz got robbed. He actually deserves this prize.
Just because
but I don't think we got your size. No, you were the official winner, but you're getting the prize.
Oh, yeah.
I can live with that.
Hold it up.
I can live with that.
Hold it up.
I haven't texted any men tonight, so.
Yet.
Not yet.
It's not
Ooh, look at this.
Oh,
This is nice.
Here we go.
And it kind of matches what I'm already wearing.
That's
so
right.
thank you.
Wear it tonight.
I will.
All right. Thank you very much. Good game, guys. More prime time straight ahead.